Thank you very much, and appreciate you all being here for the hearing. You just had a discussion in regard to the timelines that are built into the bill and indicated that you all would need more time to do your analysis. Isn't that correct?
Yes. Yes, sir.
And Mr. Bardee?
Yes, sir.
And I certainly appreciate that and hope that we'll incorporate that into the final draft. That being said, the Clean Power Plan requires the states to come up with, I think it's 13 months, but less than a year and a half after the plan is a final rule. The Clean Power Plan requires the states to come up with their plan, which then must begin implementation by 2020. Doesn't that seem to be rather short? If it's going to take you all, the experts, in this more than 90 or 120 days to come up with an analysis of the plan, doesn't it just scream out that reason would call that the states need more time to come up with their plan as well?
Certainly, I have heard representatives for states express their need for more time, and as you've heard here today, we've expressed a need for more time if we are given the responsibilities described in the legislation.
And I certainly appreciate that and understand that you do need more time. I also note that, Mr. Cawley, that NERC's recommendations in the two reports that have come out have both addressed that concern, not just on your behalf, but on concern of the industry and grid reliability, that there's more time needed to address the reliability concerns in infrastructure deployment, more time to accommodate reliability enhancement, more time to develop coordinated plans to address shifts in generation. Is that a fair statement of your position?
That is true, and I think you've touched on the planning and preparation is difficult. Some states might require legislation. It's broader, includes energy efficiency and renewables. So we actually have the easy job of just doing the reliability analysis. I think it's very complex at each individual state, and it's going to be a challenge under those time constraints.
And I do appreciate that. It's one of the reasons why I think your report highlights another important reason why we need to pass the Ratepayer Protection Act, which would require that the challenges, the legal challenges, I don't think they passed muster. I think they fail in the courts on the Clean Power Plan. I don't think they have the authority under 111D. But it requires that that issue be resolved before they can move forward, and that also would buy everybody a little bit more time to prepare if that's the direction we're going in. Now, that being said as well, one of the things that your report showed, Mr. Cawley, your November report, in there you said potential issues are most acute in areas where power generators rely on interruptible natural gas pipeline transportation. Could you elaborate on that just a minute for me?
Well, my concern is that the business model for gas is different than the business model for electricity. In the gas industry, if you pay for a pipeline and you pay for capacity in the pipeline, you can have it and use it on a firm basis. The difficulty is you don't want to pay for the entire year for those 3 days when you have the extreme cold in the middle of winter. So the electricity side, we have a obligation to serve and we must provide electricity. The disconnect is we don't see that same business model on the delivery of gas. So somehow those two disconnects have got to be dealt with.
And you really don't have that problem if you're dealing with coal because they can just load some more on a train or a truck. Isn't that correct?
Well, that's why fuel diversity is a benefit, because some resources will have fuel on site and gives us some security. You know, even if the rivers are frozen or something like that, if there's a pile there, we can get to it.
Right. And your reports also show that or indicate that, again, remember we're talking about plan coming out sometime this summer. States have to have their plan done in 2016 and then compliance beginning in 2020. And yet in many areas of the nation there aren't sufficient gas pipelines. As a result of that, in my region we have controversy over 2 pipelines that are now getting started and they're laying out the plans and so forth. But I think your report indicated sometimes it takes 5 to 6 years just to get that up and running. And am I not correct? Is that correct?
That is correct. In most cases it does.
And then that puts us beyond the 2020 start date to comply for the states. So it makes it very difficult for the states then to be able to use or to count on the natural gas that is not yet there if it's just in the planning stages. And I would also note, because my time's running out, it also means that we don't have time for the clean coal technologies, which the Department of Energy indicate are probably going to be viable, at least one or more, by 2025 to incorporate those into the state plans that have to be done under the Clean Power Plan by next year. Isn't that correct?
That was the intent of our report, to highlight the physical constraints of getting there to the early years of the targets.
I thank you very much and yield back.
This time I recognize the gentleman from New York.